So morning, do you feel you need to get up and shake around a bit? Because I do. So thank you very much for coming today. I'm, as it says on my slide, let me stand this side of it so you can see it. Kaz Walker, I'm Group She Advisor. Doesn't mean that I advise chicks and women and stuff like that. It means I'm Safety, Health, Environment Advisor for Kier. Being Group Advisor means I'm a group resource for Kier, means I travel the whole country. So today I'm in the Isle of Wight, next week I might be in Glasgow or Plymouth or Ipswich. I cover the whole remit. Health and well-being means that I specialise in health issues, of which manual handling is one of them. I was lucky enough to be invited here last year and I spoke on general occupational ill health conditions. Manual handling again falls under that remit because it's all about musculoskeletal type stuff. So this is going to be a bit of a overview of manual handling stuff. So I'm going to hit you with some stats to start off with. Last year, or the last HSE statistical year, 2013 to 2014, over 900,000 working days were lost to manual handling issues. I think that's staggering. That's a staggering number. That wasn't just in the construction industry, that was in healthcare and different things as well, but that was people picking things up, pushing things, levering things. And one of my jobs, because we're lucky enough in Kier to have an occupational health team, but their job, of course, is reactive. Yeah, they deal with looking after people once they've actually hurt themselves. My job, one of the reasons I spend my time running around the country, is to teach people how to be proactive. Yeah, how to look after themselves to avoid respiratory disorders, to avoid noise-induced hearing loss, hand-arm vibration, etc., etc., musculoskeletal disorder, by being proactive. Yeah, so they avoid losing, as it says there, nearly 7 days a week, which was in that 2013-2014 period, from handling injuries, which again is a staggering amount. That was per injury. Anyone work here within, are you mainly all construction industry?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So handling caused nearly 1/4 of reported injuries, reported through RIDDOR. Again, staggering figures. So major specified and 1/4 of over 7-day injuries. So that was nearly 17,000 injuries where people spent 7 days off work. Yeah, so if you're in the industry, you know that if you get a guy hurt himself, so that's a bit sexist, isn't it? If you get a worker hurt themselves and have to take 7 days off work, how much can that slow down your business? Especially if it's one of your labourers, because they're one of your rock force, aren't they? They're the guys that you put in place to help support the rest of your team. So that can be really, really, you know, a big spoke in your cog to keep your site going. They go at the bottom there, the latest 3-year average estimates from the Labour Force Survey, who supplies statistics to the HSE, showed an estimated 54,000 reportable handling injuries resulted in more than 3 days off work. This is not good. So there's some lovely images there from Kier workers. These are all Kier guys doing their stuff. And what we're trying to do in Kier is to get people to start stretching, start warming up before they do things. This is not Hong Kong or China, so we're not out there giving it all there and stretching and stuff, but that's what we maybe should be doing. Because it's known and it's proven that without warming up and stretching up muscles and things like that is where lots of injuries come from. But we also know that lots of those statistics that we showed you a little while ago are actually from previous injuries or age-related injuries. Injuries that already exist in the body or faults that already exist in the body that can be made worse if somebody isn't either taught how to lift correctly, yeah, or warmed up first. I'd like a show of hands and a bit of honesty now. Mainly gentlemen. I'm afraid. Sorry to be sexist here, but how many of you get the shopping out of the car when you get home at the end of the week and do the Yorkie ad thing where you get all the shopping out and then stagger up to your house door with all the shopping in your hand at the same time? Come on then, put your hands up. Yes, I thought so. Well, all those things contribute. They're leading factors. Yep, how many of you take a rucksack or a laptop bag into work with you? Yeah, and how many of you throw that bag, or ladies, I've got a couple of ladies in the room, how many of you carry a handbag? And so, you know, guys, how much ladies put in their handbags, and then you put that bag under your desk. How many of you are still sitting on your chair when you reach for that handbag or that laptop bag? Most of you? Yeah. Well, all those things, same as all occupational ill health conditions, build up over repeated exposure. And musculoskeletal injury is just the same. Exactly just the same. So the more we keep bending from the waist incorrectly and repeating those postures and lifting things up, and it can just be a pen on the floor. It doesn't have to be any consistent weight. We're actually putting our bodies under higher risk. So we need to keep these things in mind when we see our workers and our fellow colleagues doing these things. Yeah? And maybe give them some tools and things to help alleviate those problems. Yeah? Try and be a bit more proactive. There you go, those are the things I mentioned initially. Carrying, levering, lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, supporting. And we actually use more muscles when we're lowering things, when we're supporting things, when we're actually already lifting things, when we're picking things up. When we're having to support them to put them back on the ground, there are more muscles in use. We put the triceps and the biceps under more strain when we're doing those manoeuvres than we do when we're actually lifting things up initially. The trapezium muscle, which is a big kite muscle that supports the skull and goes down the upper cervical vertebrae into the top of the thoracic vertebrae here, stops around about this area, about bra strap for women, yeah, around this area, is put under tremendous strain when we lower the head alone. So when we're picking up, when we use a ballistic action, what we call, when we're lifting up things, if our head is still lowered, that muscle alone is put under additional stress. So we need to be taught how to pick up correctly. And our head should follow the motion. So that muscle is not put under additional strain and should follow the motion and the direction that we move in. But that's part of manual handling training that hopefully all you guys put your colleagues through at work. And that, again, is part of the proactive measure. More stats. You might not be able to see that particularly well at the back there. Now, construction is not one of the highest there, but it's still too high. It's still too high statistics. People still being hurt too much within our industry that we can prevent if people are taught, if people are given the time to be able to do their job. And we also have, again, you're not going to be able to see that table at all. But I don't expect you. Hopefully these presentations are going to be made available. So you'll be able to take this away, including the one previous to me about the CDM, new CDM regs. We have responsibilities as management teams, supervisory levels, employers, to make sure that incidents to do with manual handling, injuries to do with manual handling don't take place. It's simple. These regulations have been around for a fair old while, 1992. As most regulations, they are often revised. We should be eliminating, as possible, it's all the hierarchy of risk. It's not as if we don't know it. Do we have to lift that piece of equipment by hand? Is that person fit enough to lift that piece of equipment by hand? Task, individual, load and environment, light or tile, whichever way you look at it. Do we know about the load? Is it hot? Is it sharp? Is it slippery? What about the individual themselves? Are they fit? Do they have any existing musculoskeletal conditions? Are they well? How well do you know your team? Are they poorly at the time? If it's a female, are they pregnant? And I know a lot of blokes go, oh, I'm not going to ask that question. Ooh. They may have just put on a bit of weight. I'm not even going to go there. But it's things that you need to know. Yeah, you need to cross that sticky ground. Yeah, because often we have staff, especially females, working in our offices. What about the photocopying? Changing that, picking up a ream of paper. Do you know how much 5 reams of paper in one box of photocopier weighs? Any idea, anybody?
How long? 20 kilos.
About 20 kilos. What's the average weight of a bag of cement?
25.
25 kilos now. So our office lady is about picking up the same weight, almost, give or take 5 kilos, as our lads on site picking up a bag of cement. If she has to shift that and open it and take that horrible piece of plastic that seals it up. So we need to take these things into consideration. And again, especially if she's with child. You know, she goes into that category where she needs to be extra protected, like our young working folk. Yeah? We know this. It's not something we can ignore. Think of the stats. Think of litigation. That might get you thinking a bit more. Yeah? But we can reduce the risk for injury. There's so many things we can do. We can go into teamwork. Somebody with a bit more muscle and a bit more energy and a bit more health, a bit more youth can help. But they still need to know the practicalities and the way to do it safely. And bending straight down at the waist is not the way to do it safely, though we see it every single day. Every time somebody drops something on the floor, over they go. And we turn a blind eye. I'm not going to say anything about that. Why not? Because that repeated bad action will eventually build up to something. It's not just what we do here at work, it's what we do in our private lives as well. Because often, it's what affects people in their private lives that they bring into work that we, as supervisors, as employers, then have to help them deal with whilst they're at work. Supply them information and training. Supervise them whilst they're at work. Keep them safe. Help them take that information home with them to teach their children. Yeah, because then they take that information with them. Children learn from their parents, from their peers. It's all good stuff. Daddy showed me, Mummy showed me. Yeah, it can't be a bad thing. Yeah, we've already mentioned today about the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974. We've got all these different regulations. The Management of Health and Safety at Work Act 1999, if you are a manager, gives us certain responsibilities as well. And locked onto the side of the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 are all these other regulations, including separate regulations for manual handling. Because it's been proved that people keep hurting themselves by picking things up and pushing things, and levering things, and manoeuvring things. So they had to create a separate set of regulations just for manual handling. So surely that's telling us that we need to take more care. We need to teach more. Yes? No? Maybe? Yeah, employers have a duty of care to their staff, to their employees, to show them how it's done properly, how it's done safely. If you see somebody trying to lift something up when their trousers are too tight, that might be worth mentioning it to them. Cut off circulation. We've had that in some of our workforces because it's a fashion thing. They look good. You can't bend down to pick anything up, but they look really good. Yeah, it all comes into the risk assessment. Clothing and dress actually forms part of the risk assessment. Are they appropriately attired? Yeah, all these things need to come into our thoughts and our process. These are the things that we hurt. We only get one of these. They haven't sorted out a way yet to give us new spines. They've found out ways to fuse vertebrae together if we hurt one, to remove discs if we punch one out, if one ends up being completely, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, prolapsed. Yeah, these are things that we're learning to do, our medical science teams are learning to do, but they haven't yet learned how to replace a whole spine. So we should be looking after it. It's a valuable part of our makeup. And if you've seen a child, a baby, how it manages to fold its way up, if you watch a tiny child, when it first learns to walk, and it sees something on the floor, how does a child go to pick something up?
Sits down.
Well, it doesn't sit down completely. When it's completely walking, it doesn't completely sit down, but it looks like it's about to. Yeah, but it does go down like this, doesn't it? So its nappy heads towards the ground, and then it picks the thing up. Why does a child do that and we don't? Why do we do that?
Instinct.
Do you think it's instinct? Do you think it's laziness?
They haven't developed the muscles by that point in the back, remember?
No, the muscles are there, the flexibility is there. For a child, it's instinct. For a child, it is instinct. For a human, it's not. It's actually easier for us just to go like that. Because we feel the muscles more as we get older as we do that. Even though we develop very nice max glutes if we carry on doing that. Yeah? But also what happens is our toddlers learn from us again. So as soon as they see mummy and daddy do that, or big bruv do that, they do that. So we're teaching our toddlers how to pick up incorrectly. But otherwise, a tiny child always does that. Because that's the way they're supposed to lift. That's the way they're designed to lift. That's the way we're all designed to lift. So we should be learning from our toddlers, really, or relearning. Yep, 5 lumbar vertebrae, 12 thoracic, 7 cervical. Where do you think most of us end up with an injury from lifting? Lumbar. It's around here. How many of you got lower back problems? It's a very common one. It's very, very common. So think, next time you go to pick something up like that, go, "Ooh, maybe not, maybe I'll do that." How many of you got shot knees? You'll fall into bits, aren't you? Yeah, we do need to be careful, but if we've started doing things correctly in the first place, maybe these things wouldn't be so bad. We do need to take care of our backs though, because they need to see us long into the future. But unfortunately, certain manual handling injuries also affect joints. Knees and the hips are very common. But again, especially for our younger generation that are coming to work with us now, teach them right from the beginning. Don't be afraid to tell them as well why. It's important. It's really important. Oh, that's a pretty picture of it, so you can see more clearly the definitions between the two. There's actually 5 bones just in our sacral joint, in our tailbone alone, but we don't really need that. We land on it incorrectly quite a bit when we've been out for too many of those, maybe on a night out, but other than that, we can ignore the sacral joint. That's not a nice one. Anybody had any of those? Herniated disc? You don't want one. Because without knowing it often, you'll get a pain in your back. And the disc is actually made up of 80% fluid already. Yeah, it's more like a gel substance inside. And when we've been lifting and bending and putting our bodies and our spines in the wrong position for too long, sometimes it ends up as a prolapse. And then when it's had far too much, the liquid decides to come out. And sometimes sequestration means that it will come out and sometimes press on the central nervous system down the back. It will have different effects on people, completely different effects on people, because they're all made up slightly differently. For some people it's a little bit of pain, for some people it's a lot of pain. And most of that happens because of varying pressure where it shouldn't be. Because again, we're bending in the wrong direction and putting too much pressure somewhere where we shouldn't be. And a lot of that is down to manual handling. My mum ended up with a prolapse disc from trying to lift up my dad. Too much of the old liquid fluid, I'm afraid, on the parties, Caribbean night. She doesn't do that anymore, understandably so. Nothing to do with manual handling, you know, at work. Think of the load, even if that is your dad. Oh, come back. Think of the individual who you're putting to task. Think of the task. Where have they got to take the load to? What are the ground conditions like? How many times have they got to do that journey? What's the environment like? Is it chucking it down with rain en route? Is it a slippery surface? Is it an uneven surface? Are there obstacles en route? Can you clear the obstacles out the way to make it an easier route? All of these things are part of the risk assessment when you're putting anybody to work for manual handling. Can you mechanise it? Can you give them a trolley, a wheelbarrow of some description? Oh, do they know how to use the lifting equipment that you're giving them? That's another thing. I've seen people with trapped fingers and all sorts from giving them different sorts of lifting equipment. So that's something else you need to take into consideration. If you're giving them something to make the lifting job easier, do they know how to use the lifting equipment? Really important. But light, which I think fits quite well with manual handling. Make it light for them. Make it safer for them. But make sure that they stretch a little bit before they do it as well. Does that look like good terrain? Does that look like an easy time? I mean, at least they're doing it together. At least there's not one guy there doing the Yorkie ad. It's not particularly good ground, is it? He's got his mallet down here. Could have tripped over that at any time. We've seen easier ways of lifting curbstones, haven't we? This is the 21st century after all. Agreed? That would have maybe been an easier way. Drop it into place. Yeah, one guy's mortaring it up, the other guy's putting them in place. Sorted, quicker, safer. A couple of other mechanisms there. What about the pallet truck? Great to have a go on, aren't they, for a ride around the site. Yeah, make sure your staff are trained in their use and how not to use them. Teamwork. I visited many a site where they have one guy taking these massive plasterboard sheets and they let one labourer unload all the pallets. You're smiling at the back there like you're familiar with it. Yeah, and they go, well, he's a labourer, it's his job. He needs to get all of those plasterboards up to where the dry liners need them. Okay. So he's lifting them up one sheet at a time, neck bent over, up round the staircases, round the doors. Not great. British Gypsum even put signs on these boards saying it's a two-man lift at least. They don't anymore. Was that a no? Were you agreeing or disagreeing? Oh, you're thinking something else. Okay. I'm sure they do. They actually designed a special little emblem that goes on these boards saying at least a two-man lift because of the weight of them. They're not particularly heavy, but they're cumbersome and they put you in weird positions. And again, they chuck the cervical vertebrae right over, potential slip disc in the neck there alone. It takes to get that pallet of boards to where it needs to be, across the other side of this enclosed bit of the site, 6 minutes with 4 guys doing it. Instead of, can you imagine how long with one guy taking one sheet at a time? So that one labourer, who is actually this guy here, gets him back onto site doing other tasks where he's needed a lot quicker. Okay, it's taken 4 guys away for 6 minutes, but they're also back on site doing other things within a really short space of time. They are using 2 pallet trucks between them, but they're out of doing their other tasks within a really short space of time, rather than one guy out for over an hour. It's brainless, isn't it, really? Or a no-brainer, should I say. There's our 25-kilo bag of cement. But we can actually make it lighter. The only thing missing there is what? I'm not going to give you all the answers. Should really have a face mask on, shouldn't he? But he has tried to make his life a little bit easier by cutting that bag in half. And then he can more easy, I mean, he's got a great position there, his back could be a little bit straighter. And as long as he lifts his chin when he comes up and then dumps that into the mixer, great lift. Making his life easier. From 25 kilos down to 12.5. Well, probably 12 because he spilt some of it on the floor there. Yeah, but still an easier, safer lift. Do you know about this, the kinetic lift? I've just demonstrated it here. Position the feet around the load. That's the other thing about manual handling training courses. Have any of you been on a manual handling training course? I've got some yeses, some no's. They always bring you out a box. How many construction sites do you handle boxes? Reams of copier paper. How often do you see a ream of copier paper on a building site? Not very often. So they're not necessarily the best way of learning how to pick things up, but they do teach you at least the kinetic lift process. And it is more or less the same, whatever shape, product, piece of equipment you are trying to lift, the principle is the same. You need to get your, so if this thingy on the floor here is the thing I was trying to lift, which would be a bit wide possibly, but you position yourself around the item. And you always test the item to see whether it's got more weight on one side than it has on the other, whether it's got a tipping point. You're also feeling for heat, for texture. If possible, wear some gloves to protect your skin, to get a better grip. Yeah, get your body over the centre of the gravity of the load. Get as near into it as possible. Now, there has been some teachings just recently about changing positions of the lift. But if anything, you need to be relaxed. And if possible, you need to be stretched and warmed up. Because again, that's in pre-preparation. And keep your arms within the boundary of the lift. Out like this. And so that you're in control of what you're about to lift. And you do this at home as well. How many of you have got tiny children that greet you when you get home? It's lovely. So how many of you bend down and go, hello, darling, and pick them up like this? So if you get down like this, you'll be doing your back more favours, won't you? And you'll be face on to your child, which is much nicer than that. And you'll be doing your back a lot of favours. Hello, darling. Come to mummy, come to daddy. Yeah, so you're starting to learn processes and teach processes to your children. And not that you're going to pick them up like a load. You can pick them up under the arms, like afterwards, around the waist. But you are in a better position, a safer position. And the palmar grip that it says down here, not splayed, that's the palmar grip. It allows you to tilt whatever it is, but not your child. Don't do that to your children. They get very confused. What are you doing, mummy? What are you doing, dad? Yeah. But try and make sure that the heaviest side, again, irrelevant when it comes to children, the heaviest side of the thing that you're about to lift is nearest to you. So your body is the supporting side. Remember what I said right at the beginning about keeping, because of the trapezium muscle? When you come up, lift your head up so you'll see the direction that you're going in. Yeah? So make sure that you've got everything in grip, and when you come up, your back stays upright and so does your head. Nothing twinges then, everything's in line, the spine's straight, beautiful. Raise your chin, breathe in. Don't forget to breathe. Has anybody done yoga? Pilates? We need to get you stretching, guys, don't we, really? We'll do some of that later. So don't jerk or twist, because something will go twinge or twang. And then step off. When you get to the other side, you adopt the same lowering technique. Don't do that, because now you're carrying the load, and the extra forces are on your spine. So do you all know that technique? Oh, I'm glad some of you do. Who are the supervisors in the room? Who are the managers in the room? That'd be me then. That's what you need to do. Identify your handling risks and avoid them where necessary. It's all part of the regs. Assess and select suitable automated systems where possible. It's not rocket science. Or maybe it is if you're working in the rocket industry. Decide whether the risk can be removed. And if not, a more detailed assessment. Remember, the load, the individual, the task itself, and the environment in which it's going to be done. Select and introduce mechanical aids and teach those people that are going to be using them how to use those mechanical aids. Really important. Arrange kinetic handling training if required, which was that bit I've just done. And train on the job and off the job coaching. So have somebody there to see those people do it once or twice to make sure that they're doing it correctly. And monitor. Yeah, make sure it's being maintained. Don't just do one generic risk assessment and hope they'll always follow it, because the loads may change. It's known. We don't always have the same things delivered to site, do we? Do we? Yes, no? Plan it. Organise it. Risk assess it. Everything we do should be risk assessed. And if possible, write it down. Was that planned and organised, I wonder? If it wasn't, find his line manager and a barrow to help him. That wasn't in this country, I might point out. I think it was more of a bet than anything else. Any questions? Really? Well, that surprises me. Thank you very much for attending, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I've been of some help to you today. Enjoy the rest of today.